All right, section 7.4. This is dealing with double angle and half angle identities. So first off, we're going to look at the double angle identities, and we have these here. We have sine 2 theta equals 2 sine theta cosine theta. We have cosine 2 theta, which equals cosine squared theta minus sine squared theta. And then we have cosine 2 theta equals 2 cosine squared theta minus 1. And also cosine 2 theta equals 1 minus sine squared theta. And then we have tangent square 2 theta equals 2 tangent theta over 1 minus tangent squared theta. Now each one of these, when it comes to specifically for the cosine, you can know either one of these and you should be able to still figure out how to find cosine 2 theta. So with this, we're going to take a look at, first off, sine 2 theta and how they actually got that answer, and not just say, okay, well, this is the identity and that's it, and then keep going. We're actually look at how they derived that. So let's take a look at sine 2 theta. We can rewrite that as sine theta plus theta. In other words, our sum identity. So here, of our sum identity, we know that it's sine, cosine, cosine, sine, with the same sign in the middle. So we have sine theta, cosine theta, plus cosine theta, sine theta. Now, with that being said, we know that multiplication is commutative, so we can actually switch those around. So we can have sine theta, cosine theta, plus, we can switch those, sine theta, cosine theta. And it's understood as ones in front of here. So if we have the same thing here for sine theta, cosine theta, have the same thing on both of those, we can just combine the two and actually get 2 sine theta, cosine theta, which is what we originally said right here. So there we go. It actually wasn't just came up with something out of the top of our heads. It actually was something that was derived from an identity we'd used before. All right, so we're going to look at the cosine. I'm not going to go through all 3 of them like I did in class, but just go over a couple of them. To get the first one here, we can do the sum of cosine again, sum identity of cosine. So let's actually write this as 2 theta first. So that's the same thing as saying cosine theta plus theta. And so we know with cosine that we have the cosines together and we have the sines together, and we do an opposite sign in the middle. So it's cosine theta, and since it's a plus, we do a minus. Then we do sine theta, sine theta. Now with that being together, we can multiply these two together and get cosine squared minus sine squared theta. And that goes back to what we just said up here. So it is derived from the double angle identity. The double angle identity is derived from the sum of cosine. Right, we're going to look at using this here. We know already from the trig function we talked about before that we know what sine squared theta is if we use the Pythagorean identity and manipulate it. So we can do cosine squared theta minus, and we already know because we've dealt this a lot of times already, that is the same thing as saying 1 minus cosine squared theta. If we go ahead and distribute that negative to both terms inside the parentheses, that would give us, let's move this up some so I can see it. That would give us cosine squared theta minus 1 plus cosine squared theta. And once again, we have an understood one here, understood one here. We can combine those two, and that gives us 2 cosine squared theta minus 1. And that's exactly what we said for this part right here. So see, they are derived from actually using other identities that we talked about in class already. So it's not just stuff off the top of the head, it's actually done things that are done. And also, if we go back here and change this to 1 minus sine squared, we can get the second one here. Then just using tangents, the actual identities for tangent for the sum, we will be able to find out this last one here. So it's not just off the top of our heads, it's actually just done from using identities that we talked about already. Alright, so on the next video, we're actually going to do example 1. So hopefully you're ready for that one. And once again, remember, study these identities, know them.